What if I told you that the guilt you feel every time you set a boundary with your mother isn't actually yours? It's a mechanism, a trap designed to keep you exactly where she needs you. Today, we break you out of it. Let's start with a moment that might feel painfully familiar. It's a Tuesday afternoon. Your phone buzzes on the table. You glance down and see her name on the screen. Your mother. In that split second, before you even read a single word of the text, notice what happens to your body. Your chest tightens. Your breathing gets a little shallower. Your heart rate picks up. Just slightly, but enough for you to feel it in your throat. This isn't a normal reaction to receiving a message from a loved one. This is a trauma response. It is your nervous system bracing for impact. You open the message. She wants you to come over this weekend, or she needs you to handle a crisis that she should be able to handle herself, or perhaps it's just a passive-aggressive comment about how she never sees you anymore. You are exhausted. You desperately need this weekend to rest, to catch up on your own life, to just breathe. Your mind screams, "No, I can't do this right now." You know you need to set a boundary. You know you have the right to say no. But then a dark, heavy cloud rolls in. The guilt. It starts whispering to you immediately. She's your mother. She's done so much for you. If you say no, she'll be devastated. You're being selfish. What kind of daughter treats her mother this way? The guilt is suffocating. It is so physically unbearable that, to relieve the pressure in your chest, you delete the "no" you just drafted. Instead, you type, "Okay, I'll be there." You hit send, and instantly, you feel a crushing sense of self-abandonment. You kept the peace with her, but you started a war with yourself. If you have lived this scenario 100 times, I need you to hear this very clearly. You did not decide to feel this guilty. You were trained to. In a healthy family dynamic, a child saying no is met with understanding, or at least respect. But in a toxic dynamic, no is treated as an act of betrayal. From a very young age, you were conditioned to believe that your mother's emotional stability was your responsibility. You were taught that love is synonymous with compliance. But love was never meant to be an emotional hostage situation. The guilt you carry isn't proof that you're a bad daughter. It is proof that the manipulation worked. It is the invisible trap that keeps you tethered to a toxic cycle. And to break free, we first have to understand exactly how this trap was built. A toxic mother doesn't need to yell to control you. She just needs to make you feel responsible for her sadness. When we think of toxic parents, we often picture screaming matches, throwing objects, and blatant cruelty. But covert manipulation is much quieter than that. It lives in the sighs, the shifting eyes, the loaded pauses. It is the subtle art of making you feel like a terrible person without ever calling you a single name. To break the guilt trap, we have to turn on the lights and look directly at the mechanics of how it operates. There are 3 main tactics a manipulative mother uses to keep you emotionally tethered to her. The first is the sacrifice card. You know exactly what this sounds like. "After everything I've sacrificed for you, this is how you treat me?" Or, "I gave up my youth for you. I worked my fingers to the bone so you could have a good life." Here is the psychological truth about parenthood. Providing food, shelter, and care for a child is the bare minimum legal and moral requirement of choosing to have one. It is a duty, not a loan. But a manipulative mother weaponizes her parenting. She turns her basic maternal duties into a lifelong, unpayable debt. When she plays the sacrifice card, she is essentially saying that because she kept you alive, she now owns your adulthood. She owns your choices, she owns your free time, and she owns your emotional bandwidth. Anytime you try to claim your own life, she will remind you of this debt to pull you right back in line. The second tactic is the silent treatment. If you grew up with this, you know that the silent treatment is never actually silent. It is incredibly loud. It is the heavy, suffocating energy that fills the entire house. It is the way she washes the dishes just a little too aggressively. It is the deep, dramatic sigh when you walk into the room, or the sudden, cold, one-word answers. The silent treatment is a form of emotional abandonment. When you are a child, Your physical and emotional survival depends on your connection to your caregiver. When your mother withdraws her affection and refuses to speak to you because you didn't comply with her wishes, she is triggering your deepest, most primal fear: abandonment. As an adult, when she gives you the cold shoulder, your inner child panics. The guilt you feel in that moment isn't because you actually did something wrong. It is a desperate, biological urge to restore the connection so you can feel safe again. You find yourself apologizing just to make the emotional temperature of the room tolerable. The third tactic is the perpetual victim. This is her ultimate defensive shield. Let's say you finally build up the courage to tell her that a comment she made hurt your feelings. You approach her calmly. You aren't attacking her, you just want a simple apology. But instantly, the script flips. Tears well up in her eyes. Her voice breaks. She looks away and says, "I guess I'm just a terrible mother. I can never do anything right. Everything is always my fault." Suddenly, the conversation is no longer about the pain she caused you. It is about how your feelings have hurt her. You came to her seeking comfort, and somehow, you are now the one comforting her. You end up backpedaling, shrinking yourself, and apologizing for bringing it up in the first place. She has successfully bypassed all accountability by playing the victim. None of this is accidental. The sacrifice card, the silent treatment, the victimhood. These are not just personality quirks. They are highly effective mechanisms of control. For decades, these tactics have worked on you for one simple reason. You have a good heart. You have empathy. You care deeply about her feelings. But empathy without boundaries is self-destruction. Now that you can see the strings, you can stop dancing. You can finally recognize that the guilt she projects onto you is just a tool, and it does not belong to you. Let's talk about a title you have likely been wearing for your entire life: the good daughter. Society loves a good daughter. Family members praise her. She is the peacemaker, the caretaker, the one who never causes any trouble. But in the context of a toxic mother-daughter dynamic, being the good daughter is not a compliment, it is a cage. Because being the good daughter to a manipulative mother usually requires being a terrible friend to yourself. Think about what that label actually meant in your childhood home. In a healthy family, being a good daughter means being kind, honest, and respectful while growing into your own unique person. But in your home, it meant something very different. It meant compliance. It meant having zero boundaries. It meant that your personal needs, your preferences, and your comfort were always secondary to your mother's emotional weather. If she was angry, a good daughter absorbed it quietly. If she was sad, a good daughter fixed it. You were not allowed to be a separate human being with your own internal world. You were expected to be an emotional sponge, a shock absorber, and an extension of her. And here is the most devastating part of this illusion. This conditioning does not stay in your childhood home. It bleeds into every single corner of your adult life. Because you were taught that advocating for your own needs makes you bad or selfish, you now shrink yourself in your career. You take on extra projects you don't have time for, and you burn yourself out because saying no to your boss triggers the exact same panic as saying no to your mother. Look at your romantic relationships. Do you walk on eggshells? Do you automatically apologize when your partner is in a bad mood, instantly assuming it must be your fault? You likely attract people who are emotionally unavailable, chaotic, or overly demanding. Why? Because your nervous system is wired to believe that love is not something freely given. You believe love is something you have to earn by fixing someone else, by being useful, by being the good girl. You are exhausted. You are carrying the emotional weight of everyone around you. You are running on empty, and yet you still feel a profound sense of guilt when you finally sit down to rest. This is the ultimate trap of the good daughter syndrome. You have spent your entire life trying to be so accommodating, so perfect, so incredibly self-sacrificing, secretly hoping that one day she will finally look at you and give you the unconditional love and validation you have been starving for. But I need to tell you a painful truth. She won't. Not because you aren't worthy of that love. You are absolutely worthy. But because her capacity to love in a healthy way is broken, and no amount of your self-sacrifice can fix it, every time you abandon your own needs to manage her feelings, you are betraying yourself. You are looking at your inner child and telling her that her feelings still do not matter. It is time to hand back the good daughter badge. It is a medal given only for self-abandonment. You do not want it anymore. You are allowed to be a messy, separate, independent adult who occasionally disappoints her mother. Understand this. Disappointing her does not mean you are failing. It means you are finally choosing yourself. I need you to write this next sentence down, memorize it, and let it echo in your mind every time you interact with her. You do not need her permission to set a boundary, and you do not need her agreement to enforce it. A boundary is not a negotiation. It is a statement of what you will and will not tolerate. But when you have been programmed to comply, stating that boundary feels like stepping off a cliff. So, we are not going to just talk about boundaries as a concept. I'm going to give you a very specific, actionable, 3-step framework to use the next time she tries to pull you into the guilt trap. Step 1. The internal anchor. When a toxic mother attacks, criticizes, or drops a heavy guilt trip, your sympathetic nervous system instantly goes into fight-or-flight mode. Your heart races. You feel an overwhelming urgency to reply, to fix it, to soothe her immediately. Do not respond. Your first step is to create a physical and temporal gap. If she texts you, put the phone in another room for at least 1 hour. If you are on the phone, you say, "Someone is at the door, I have to call you back," and you hang up. You must give your nervous system time to regulate. You cannot set a healthy boundary while your inner child is having a panic attack. Breathe. Anchor yourself in the present moment. Remind yourself, I am an adult. I am safe. Her emotions are not my emergency. Step 2. The grey rock scripts. In psychology, there is a tactic called the grey rock method. The goal is to become as uninteresting, unresponsive, and emotionally flat as a grey rock. Manipulators feed on your emotional reactions. If you cry, they win. If you yell, they win. But if you give them absolutely nothing to work with, they eventually get bored and stop trying. Here are 3 exact scripts you can use. If she is demanding your time and you need to say no, and she responds by playing the sacrifice card, you say this: "I understand you are disappointed, but this is what works for me right now." Notice what is missing from that sentence: an apology. You are acknowledging her feeling without taking responsibility for it. If she tries to pull you into an argument or starts giving you the silent treatment, you say, "I can see you are upset. Let's talk later when we are both feeling calmer." And then you leave the room or end the call. You are setting a boundary around how you allow yourself to be spoken to. If she pries into your personal life, criticizes your parenting, your partner, or your weight, you say, "I am not looking for feedback on this, but thank you for your input." It is polite, it is firm, and it is a brick wall. Which brings us to the most important rule. Step 3, the disengagement. In the recovery community, there is an acronym called JADE. It stands for justify, argue, defend, and explain. When you set a boundary with a toxic mother, you must never JADE. When you explain your reasons for saying no, you are secretly hoping she will understand and validate you. But she won't. To a manipulative person, an explanation is not a point of understanding, it is ammunition. If you say, "I can't come over because I'm so tired from work," she will argue that she is more tired. If you defend your choices, you are acting as if you are on trial and she is the judge. You are an adult. No is a complete sentence. You do not owe her an essay on why you are protecting your own peace. When you use this framework, you strip away her power. You step out of the ring. You stop playing the game she rigged for you to lose. So, you did it. You set the boundary. You used the scripts, you stayed calm, and you held your ground. You hit send on the text, or you walked out the door. And now, you are sitting in the aftermath. Your heart is hammering against your ribs. Your stomach is in knots. You are staring at your phone, waiting for the retaliation. I need you to prepare for what happens next. Because the hard truth is, the moment you set a boundary with a toxic mother, things are going to get much worse before they get better. In behavioral psychology, there is a very specific term for what you are about to experience. It is called an extinction burst. Imagine a vending machine that you have used every single day for 20 years. You put $1 in, you press a button, and you get your favorite candy. But today, you put your $1 in, press the button, and nothing happens. Do you just calmly nod your head, accept the loss, and walk away? No. You press the button again. You press it faster. You get frustrated. You shake the heavy machine, and maybe you even kick the glass. For your entire life, you have been that emotional vending machine for your mother. She pressed the guilt button, and you delivered compliance. She pressed the shame button, and you delivered a desperate apology. Now that you have changed the rules, now that the machine has stopped dispensing what she wants, she is not going to just walk away quietly. She is going to press the buttons harder. She is going to shake the machine. Her manipulation tactics will escalate drastically. If her usual passive-aggressive sighs don't work, she will shift to intense, dramatic tears. She might leave voicemails sobbing about how heartbroken she is, weaponizing her fragility to make you feel like a monster. And if the victim card fails to break you, she will likely flip to outright rage. Suddenly, you are not just disrespectful, you are ungrateful, selfish, and cold. If she cannot break your boundary directly, she will try to break you through others. This is when she deploys what psychologists call flying monkeys. She will play the victim to your siblings, your aunts, or family friends, recruiting them to do her bidding. Soon, you are receiving texts saying, "How could you do this to your mother? She is devastated." You know how she is. Just apologize and keep the peace. When this storm hits, the isolation is terrifying. The pressure will feel absolutely unbearable, and your inner child will scream at you to just cave in. You will question your own sanity. You will ask yourself, "Am I the toxic one? Did I make a terrible mistake?" Listen to me very carefully. Your physical instinct to cave is just a trauma bond. It is not intuition. I want you to anchor yourself to this one absolute truth. Her anger is not your emergency. Her disappointment is not your failure. When a manipulative person gets fiercely angry that you set a boundary, it is never a sign that you did something wrong. It is the ultimate, undeniable proof that the boundary was absolutely necessary. It means the boundary is working. She is not mourning the loss of a healthy connection with you. She is mourning the loss of her control over you. You are not responsible for managing her emotional reaction to your healthy choices. Let her be mad. Let the flying monkeys misunderstand you. You are surviving the extinction burst. Stay the course, because on the other side of this temporary storm is your permanent freedom. When the storm of the extinction burst finally passes, and I promise you, it will pass, you are going to find yourself standing in a very quiet, unfamiliar space. For the first time in your life, your nervous system will not be buzzing with the low-grade panic of anticipating her next mood. You will wake up, and your energy will belong entirely to you. But I want to be profoundly honest with you about this stage of the journey. This newfound peace is often accompanied by a deep, hollow ache. This is the grieving phase. To truly heal, you have to grieve. You are not grieving the mother sitting in her living room right now. You are grieving the mother you deserved. You are mourning the painful realization that you will likely never have that warm, emotionally safe, movie-like mother who just holds you when you cry without making it about herself. The hardest part of setting a permanent boundary is not the anger you face from her. The hardest part is letting go of the fantasy. It is laying down the desperate childhood hope that if you just become the perfect daughter, if you just say the exact right words, she will magically wake up and give you the unconditional love you have been starving for. She won't. She cannot give you what she does not possess. And letting that hope die is a devastating kind of heartbreak. Let yourself cry for the childhood you did not get. Let yourself mourn the comfort you were denied. But as you stand in the empty space left behind by that grief, something incredibly beautiful begins to happen. You start to look at that little girl inside of you, the one who spent her entire life tap dancing for scraps of affection, the one who contorted herself into a pretzel just to keep the peace. You look at her and you finally say, "I have got you now." You do not have to perform anymore. You do not have to fix anyone. You are allowed to just be. You begin to reparent yourself. You become the warm, fiercely protective mother to your own inner child. You become your own safe harbor. And when you do this, you are doing something so much bigger than just healing your own life. You are doing the heavy, agonizing work of breaking a generational curse. The trauma of emotional manipulation and self-abandonment ran in your family for decades, perhaps centuries, until it ran into you. You are the circuit breaker. The trauma stops here. It does not get passed down to your children. It does not bleed into your marriage. It ends with your bravery. I want you to look at yourself in the mirror tomorrow morning and remember this. You are not a bad daughter. You are a healing woman, breaking a cycle that has lasted for generations. If this video made you feel seen today, I want you to know that you are not alone in this fight. Please, Send this video to a woman in your life who you know is secretly carrying this same heavy burden. Let her know it is not her fault either. Tell me your story in the comments below. What is the hardest boundary you have ever had to set with your mother? I read them, and this community reads them. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so we can continue this journey together. You deserve a life that belongs to you. Take a deep breath, protect your peace, and I will see you in the next video.